ridiculous. Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So tomorrow is a big day for me because my brother, who lives in Toronto, in Canada, for those of you that may not know where Toronto is.
Are there many Torontos around the world? There probably are.
Just clarifying. So we're on the same page.
Okay. The one in Canada.
The one in Canada. So he's flying down tomorrow, and I'm going to go out and spend the day with him. And I'm excited because, A, I haven't seen him in about 5 years. So I'm looking forward to that. And B, I'm super excited about why he's here because he was or has been nominated for an Emmy Award. And the Emmy Awards are tomorrow night. So he's super excited about that.
Is this like technical Emmy Awards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the tech side
I'm thinking it's not the big Emmy Awards, is it? Catherine, we missed it.
No, it's the tech side of things. So he is creative director for a children's television, not a television company. He's a creative director for a company that creates children's television shows.
Cool.
So he's been working on this one particular show. And his team is who he's in charge of was nominated for an Emmy Award. So it's kind of exciting. Yeah, I'm happy for him.
What's the show? Do you know?
Odd Squad.
Okay.
That's
cool.
I believe it's
So is he going to take you to the actual ceremony?
So no, I'm not going to go to the ceremony. Tickets were like $300. So I will not be doing the ceremony. But I'm going to be there and help him get spiffied up. And
wait, they make the nominees pay to go to the ceremony?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is just not right. I bet they don't make the nominees pay to go to the ceremony for the primetime ones.
Yeah. No.
Do they?
I don't know if they do, but yeah, you have
That's
to buy
not right.
a ticket.
Well, that stinks if you have to buy tickets to go to an award. It's already bad enough the technical people have it on a different night. Probably at a less impressive venue, but they have to pay tickets too.
Yeah, I believe it's at the Pasadena Convention Center. So still,
it's an honor to be nominated and wonderful to be considered and exciting to go. But gee, a little bit of disrespect there. Who do they have? Do you know who they have doing the emceeing for that one? Usually, it's some
I don't know.
third lead on a sitcom or something.
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
He's rather excited though. So
tell him we want a full report for our podcast.
Yeah, we want to hear next time.
Interview
how it
him
went.
with your voice recorder, and then
I will.
we'll drop it into a podcast.
There we go.
Sounds good.
Well, let's kick off this one. So, hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Catherine Haleko, complaining about my technical difficulties I've had so far today.
We have been plagued, y'all.
With me are Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Terri Morrow.
Hello. Hoping that this actually is all recording.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You may never hear this if it turns out to be a dud.
So today on the podcast, we're going to talk mom jewelry on our Friday speed round. We will shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, hear an interview with education advocate Greer Gurland, and we'll do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we ask you to have a seat in this waiting room, and we'll be with you shortly.
Yeah,
Nice
we've been talking
intro.
about the fact that moms spend a ridiculous percentage of our time waiting in cars, in waiting rooms outside of schools, in Catherine's case, in ice rinks. I waited at college all day when my kids were in it to give them a ride home. We're just waiting. We're ladies in waiting. And we thought we would talk about our waiting experiences, our waiting strategies, and some of our best and worst waits ever. So we won't make you wait for it. Catherine, what's your, give us a waiting story.
Well, I mean, luge camp is basically me flying halfway across the country and then waiting several days for my son to do luge camp. So that's a good one. Although that's enjoyable waiting because I like having, you know, a hotel room to myself.
Yeah.
And I just bring my laptop and I get some work done, and I bring lots of reading material, and I get to watch whatever I want on TV.
Yeah.
So those things are kind of nice waiting.
Yes.
You know, the waiting that drives me crazy is like, we are leaving at 5:30 p.m. so that you can get on the ice at 6. And then 5:15, we're leaving in 15 minutes. Okay. 5:25. Okay, let's go. I'm not ready. I'm still getting changed. Like, you're the one who needs to be on the ice at 6 o'clock. Like, this is how long it takes to drive there and get your skates on. Like, move it.
Waiting in situations where you cannot amuse yourself is the worst.
Yes.
Right? When you're waiting for your kid to get ready to go. And you can't go on the computer because then you'll get caught up on something. And you also need to be constantly policing.
And like waiting before we had smartphones. I mean, I just always had reading material with me, I guess, when in those days. So
yeah, I always had to buy a purse big enough to fit a book in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the phones, now I don't have time.
Or I try and sign my kids up with other people who had kids, so we could coordinate the waiting time.
Yes.
The
So we can either
carpooling.
share the workload or use it as a gossip session.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, therapy waiting rooms is a place I've spent a lot of time, a lot of downtime. Various different therapy waiting rooms and doctors' waiting rooms. Doctors' waiting rooms are hard because you're waiting with your child, and having to wait with your child is a disaster. At least if you have a child who's kind of hyperactive. We had a pediatrician I loved, but we finally left his practice just because every time we went, there would be like an hour wait. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So we went to somebody who took us in much faster. But therapist waiting rooms are nice because you can oftentimes do a lot of reading or computer work or whatever. You have like that's like my private time for a lot of the times. That was the only time I was alone. But then if you get other moms in there and they're talking about things and they're either having conversations with you or they're talking about things that are annoying you, you know, like theories that they have that you don't agree with. I've gotten into some testy inclusion discussions in therapist waiting rooms, Nicole.
I can imagine.
But now I don't have that so much anymore. We're pretty much done with that. And I don't know. I don't miss the driving to places, but I do kind of miss that time where I had nothing to do but just read or work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you went to the college all the time, you would just like relocate yourself there and just work all day, right?
And it was considerably less distracting than home. Found a table at the cafe and I would just spread out and that was my office for the day. That was kind of nice. I do in some ways miss that. But now, our major waiting thing now, I guess, is going to pick my son. My son works at a football stadium as a custodian on concert and football game days. And so we have to go pick him up. And sometimes we have to wait. Most of our waiting is in traffic to get to where we pick him up. And sometimes once we get there, we have to wait for him. And that's not so much fun. That's pretty stressful waiting.
Yeah, waiting in traffic is definitely an unpleasant way to wait.
Yes.
Even if you're not driving. I mean, if you're not driving, then you can be on your phone or whatever, but
yes, I usually am on my computer, but it's still, it's still frustrating. And then it's worrisome. Why hasn't he come out yet? Is everything okay? Those kind of worries.
For me, I feel like I've spent a lifetime waiting for school to get out.
Yes.
So, because you have to get there early enough to get a decent spot.
Right.
And then the second part of that, especially here in California, is you have to get a spot in the shade.
Yes.
Because you can't just roll down your windows and expect to stay cool.
Right.
So, and you don't want to run your car for a half an hour.
No.
So there's a lot of waiting in hot cars here in California.
We recently switched. Like, I had been getting my son first and then going to the high school and getting my daughter because technically her school dismisses 5 minutes later. But for some reason, my son said, can't you go get her first? Because he just hated having to be picked up and then, you know, make the trip to the high school and back. And I said, well, yeah, I can pick her up first and then you're going to have to wait. And he much prefers that.
Huh.
So like, and everyone's happier. I mean, it doesn't matter to me because either way, I'm leaving at the same time and I'm sitting in front of one school or the other. Mm-hmm. But, she likes it better and he likes it better. So it took us, you know, like 7 months into the school year to determine this. But yeah, it was just like a simple thing that made both of them happier. So
it's like he'd rather wait
at school
than in the car.
Right. And because, you know, sometimes other friends are there or he shoots baskets or, you know, yesterday he had logged onto the school Wi-Fi from the parking lot and he was super proud of himself for doing that. So, yeah, I mean, if there wasn't road construction on the exact road that goes between the two schools, it would be helpful, but whatever. Why couldn't they wait until school ended?
Oh, I know. I don't get that. Because they did that at our school too.
Yeah.
It's like a block away from the middle school. It is a huge pain in the neck for everybody dropping off and picking up every single day.
We had road construction on a bridge right next to my kids' middle school that went on pretty much the entire time both of them were in there. It was like a 5-year project.
Oh my gosh.
And it was one of these things where they couldn't just take it down, so they had to like work on one lane at a time.
Right.
And so there was always some part of it that was blocked, and it was just miserable. And it was, you know, the road we went to get them there.
Yeah.
So that was like, they finally finished it up when we no longer had children going there. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm learning all kind of different ways to go back and forth because it's painful. But
It is.
Yeah. Well, people have been asking us why we got our daughter a vehicle soon after she started driving. And
this is why.
This is exactly why. I'm so tired of waiting.
Yeah.
I'm over it. And for them, they just see, oh, they bought her a car, they're spoiling her. And I'm saying, no, I'm spoiling us.
Yeah, right.
I'm spoiling me. I'm so tired of waiting in vehicles for school and sports activities and appointments. And
yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine having to do it anymore.
Yeah, that is nice when they can go do it themselves.
Yes, I love it.
But now do you nervously wait for her to come home so you know she's safe? No, because you're following her on GPS.
Yeah, I know exactly where she is.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm tracking her. The minute she gets out of school. But it was nice, I mean, because last night, although she didn't drive, but last night she went to a concert in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came home, her friend's dad drove, and I tracked her all the way home, and I knew exactly where she was and when she was going to be home. And so I got to wait at home, which was much more pleasant. So, yeah.
Sometimes if I'm waiting at home, I'm like at loose ends. Like, what am I supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I have plenty to do.
Yeah, it doesn't last that long.
Do either of you guys have a particularly good or bad waiting story? A time when you had a terrible or stressful wait?
Well, I mean, waiting for my daughter to get her appendectomy was was a long wait. I mean, it was something like 12 hours from the time we first got to the emergency room to the time they actually took her in. But luckily she had some morphine on board because otherwise she would, because she was very, very miserable. So
we waited for my niece's plane to take off when she left here for Australia, to go back to Australia. Her flight was supposed to leave at 7.
Yeah.
And of course it was delayed. And
Oh.
it was delayed till past midnight, and I was already tired to begin with, and we couldn't leave the airport because she was a minor, so we had to stay with her.
Yeah, you have to stay.
Yeah, until the plane left. And then, of course, everything closes in the airport at like 11.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a long, agonizing wait.
Wow.
And then we were already sad.
We had a long, long airport wait one time, and it was like that, where it was getting very late and everything was closing and we were freezing. Like it was summer, but the air conditioning was so cranked, and we had bumped into somebody my husband knew in the gate area, and she had her daughter with her, and her daughter had she was like 12, but she had a collection of like baby blankets that were like security objects or whatever that she had in her carry-on, and she literally passed them out to all of us because we were so cold. We were like snuggled up with all of her baby blankets.
That reminds me when we moved from Canada to here, we flew down. So we left everything behind in Canada and left our home, and then we were flying down to California to move into our new home, but we had a stopover in Denver. And of course it was winter and big snowstorm hit. So the plane was delayed, and didn't know when it was going to get back, when the flight we'd have the flight. So we stayed in the Denver airport for well over 12 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I just felt so destitute and homeless and sad. And we had nowhere to, it was, when you didn't know it was going to board or take off, so you couldn't leave the airport and go sightsee or anything. Not that you want to sightsee, or maybe you would, I don't know, in Denver in the winter. But I just remember that feeling of I don't have a home. I left my country. We were all sad. We found this little corner in the airport and laid down our backpacks and coats and curled up in balls. And it was such a sad time. That wait was very emotional. I wanted to go back, and it was just a really sad time. We joke about it now, but
that's pretty bad.
Back in the day before there was technology to track people, I've had stressful waits for people to come home. And I know, when my son goes out and works, stressfully waiting for him to be done and come back. There's been some of those recently. But I do remember one time, I think I might have talked about this one in connection with cell phones and when kids should get cell phones. But there was one night where my husband had to go pick up my daughter at the stadium in town, which is about maybe a 10-minute drive from here. And neither one of them had a cell phone. And they couldn't find each other.
Did. And somehow they kept calling you. And
I think I said in the past that he was calling me, but he wasn't calling me. He was driving home.
Oh my gosh.
He was driving back and forth. He would go, he couldn't find her. He came home, I would say, she says she's here. So he would go back, but then she wasn't there anymore, and she would call me, she was someplace else. But I couldn't get in touch with him. That was a long wait that night for everybody to get home, especially since I was figuring that at least one and possibly both of them would be furious when they got here.
Right. With each other and somehow with you.
And somehow with me. Yes. This is why afterwards I think I insisted that both of them carry cell phones. Because come on!
Yeah.
We have the technology.
Exactly. Sometimes my husband goes places without his phone. And I'm like, what are you doing? You need that. You have it. Take it with you.
Both the men folk in my house regularly leave without phones. So I will go to find my son on GPS and it will say he is home. And I will look over at the table where he keeps his phone and sure enough, there it is. What good is it doing there?
Well, I think it's safe to say that we moms deserve an award for all that waiting.
Yeah, we did that award episode a while ago. Did we do an award for best waiter?
Best waiter.
Maybe the gift of some personalized jewelry instead.
Yes, there you go.
There you go. Segue. So, has your family ever thanked you for being the matriarch of the clan by giving you some personalized mom jewelry? Or would you even wear it if they did give it to you? Or do you have a collection of it? What's your personalized jewelry stash look like? Because it's a thing.
It's a thing. It is a thing. It is a thing that I do not own.
But would you ever want to?
I don't feel like it's a giant missing thing in my life. If it was given to me, I would be happy and I would wear it. But I'm not like sitting around going, nobody ever gave me a mom necklace.
Where is my jewelry?
I think possibly. I'm sure I had a necklace with my name on it back in the day when that was a thing. But the only real personalized sort of jewelry I can remember getting is that my mom made me a pin that said 30-something when I turned 30 because I liked that show so much.
That's cute.
She had a jeweler make that up. But no, I haven't gotten any of the family... No, I can't say the family jewels. The family jewelry. Have you guys gotten them? Are you like sitting there in your mom necklaces and your little bracelets with a link for each child and your, birthstone ring and all that stuff?
I have a necklace that actually my sister gave me that has my kids' initials on it. So, and when I had several years ago lost a baby, I got myself a necklace. And it has two, it's kind of abstract looking, but it has two like larger things that kind of look like flowers or trees or something, and two are big, and then one is very small. Aww. So it was kind of like my two big kids and my baby. So that meant a lot to me. I bought it for myself.
Well, sometimes you got to take care of yourself.
That's
Can't wait for
right.
others
It was
to do it.
It was totally retail therapy. So I think there are some very cool jewelry things out there that are kind of the subtle mom things, like whether it's just little initials or birthstones in a kind of non-traditional necklace, or I think there's some really pretty ones.
Yeah. I don't really have a jewelry family. Do your husbands give you jewelry for things?
Not much.
You used to. Not much, though.
Gotten out of the habit.
Now I'm like, don't spend the money.
Yeah.
Get me a car.
Yeah,
I need a car. Poor Nicole.
We need to pay the Visa bill.
Yes, that's definitely.
Yeah. No, I don't have any mom jewelry. No. I'm not much of a jewelry person to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make a difference.
I have a Pandora bracelet with some charms on it that are kind of abstract but represent things about my family. But
I would call that. I would consider that in this category.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. But other than that, I have my grandmother's ring that she got from my grandfather.
That's nice.
I wear that.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I'm pretty low key when it comes to jewelry.
I have my mom's charm bracelet, but it's hard to wear. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of stuff on it. I mean, it's really cool because she, as a young adult, one of her aunts took her to Europe and she got a lot of charms. Like she has a little Eiffel Tower and like a little windmill that actually spins and stuff like it's really cool. But yeah, it's hard to function when you're wearing it.
Yeah, I have some of my mom's jewelry too. I bet I have her charm bracelet somewhere now that you mention it. But she had when my dad passed away and then she remarried, she had her old wedding rings made into another ring, which, cool for her and nice for her, but it's not something I would ever wear. I'm also very low key on jewelry. So, yeah. I mean, I have it. I look at it every now and then. It doesn't look like the wedding ring I remember when I was growing up. And, but I do have some pieces of her jewelry that I remember strongly her wearing. And so that's kind of nice to look at them. But I have, my things that I wear all the time. I pretty much wear the same three pieces of jewelry all the time and never take them off and never wear anything else. So
I'm the same.
Yeah. Low key girl.
I don't accessorize much. So, yeah, remember you can hear new Speed Round every Monday through Thursday.
All right, and now we're going to bring you some of the things we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you.
Obviously not jewelry.
Not jewelry. So, Terri, do you have something else that's not shiny and sparkly?
I have very little that is shiny and sparkly in my life, but that's cool. I guess I will say that I think I've mentioned to you guys that I have been trying to find ways to organize my days and failing over and over to find something. Because basically what I have is more work than will fit in a day. And putting it into prettier boxes does not really solve the problem. It gives me a brief illusion of control, and then everything flies out anyway. And yet I am making the pretty boxes anyway. So I have been using Google Calendar to try to block out time in my day to do different things, and believing that then I will get those things done because there's a box. See? Get all that stuff done in that time. That'll happen. So unfortunately, Google Calendar doesn't come with a time warp feature to make that work, but it is fun moving the little boxes around and sitting down every morning to a brightly colored calendar full of can do and seeing how many hours it will take before I know that it's can don't. So shout out to Google Calendar for leading me on in a attractive way.
All right, Nicole, what do you have?
Well, I started watching a new series yesterday, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, on Hulu, and it's called The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh.
Yes, and I read the book by Margaret Atwood years and years ago, and I enjoyed the book. And now the series is on Hulu, so I've been watching that.
Did you see the
and
movie?
I'm quite enjoying it.
There was a movie of it with Natasha Richardson, I believe.
There? Yeah, I did see the movie. That was years
Nobody
ago.
mentions that at all in context with this series, and I'm like, this has been done. It's not just a book.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. That was years ago.
Yeah. Well, closer to when the book came out, I guess.
Yeah.
But it does not sound like a rollicking good time.
The series?
Yeah.
The show?
Anything
the storyline?
having to do with that property, basically.
No, but it's interesting. Makes you think.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not like for mindless entertainment.
That's what I'm looking for.
There is an emotional investment involved.
Yeah. Well, let us know how that is as you watch it. Are you watching it too, Catherine?
No, I haven't picked that up.
I am choosing to just read reviews of it and
There you
skip
go.
the actual product. I like the people who are in it. I wish them well. They seem to be getting good reviews.
Zoe Bartlett.
Yes, Zoe Bartlett. There she
And
is.
Samira Wiley from Orange is the New Black.
Mm-hmm. And Rory Gilmore.
Oh yeah. Well, my roundup item is generally frivolous. It is a columnist at Elle.com named R. Eric Thomas.
Okay.
And I first found out about him last summer. He was writing about the Rio Olympics. And he does a column that's about just sort of current events, pop culture, whatever. And the most recent one that I read was about how Aretha Franklin sent a fax to the AP, the Associated Press, because she was annoyed at something Dionne Warwick said 5 years ago. And so he wrote about, like, just wait a minute, okay, this happened 5 years ago, and it was like sort of a dumb and minor thing, and who sends a fax anymore? Anyway, he's just very funny, and you can follow him on Twitter, and you can read him on Elle.com and probably other places too. So
Cool.
that's an enjoyable little non-serious moment you can have.
We could all use those for sure.
Right.
Well, now from a non-serious moment to a more serious one, I interviewed this week Greer Gurland, who is a special education lawyer and advocate, and we talked about extended school year programs for kids in special education and what that is and whether you can get it, and if you didn't get it, what you can do about it. So let's listen to that now. So I'm here today with Greer Gurland, the author of How to Advocate Successfully for Your Child, What Every Parent Should Know About Special Education Law. And I understand you've also recently won an award for Best Lawyers for Families from New Jersey Family Magazine. Tell me about that.
Oh, thank you very much for mentioning that. I actually am just so honored and grateful because it's something that comes from families. And it's such a privilege to speak to families because they're really sharing their personal stories. And I'm all about connection. And, to feel like you've made a difference or you've been able to help, it's really just such an honor. It means so much to me because it's from families. So thank you very much.
So families nominated and voted for those?
Exactly.
Awesome. I can understand why people would value having somebody who really knows and understands and helps them out, because it is such a lonely road otherwise, getting through all that special education law and knowing what to do. So good for you. And thank you for doing that for families like me in New Jersey. So speaking of something that is stressful to families with special needs everywhere, summer is coming up. And school is ending. And for some kids, school will be continuing through extended school year, but not for all kids. What do we do? I know every year it was a source of dread for me as summer approached. What was I going to do?
I share that. I mean, it's actually how I'm feeling right now, because I wonder, at the beginning of the summer, I always feel like I want to make this a great summer. I want the summer to matter. But what does that mean? And we always want it to be a summer that's fulfilling and enjoyable for the kids, but you also feel as a parent like you have a responsibility, and and I feel like I do, to make it meaningful, to make sure that they're holding on to the information that they need from school, but to make sure that they're also having fun and that they're growing in other areas and reaching out in different directions. It's not so easy. It's funny because I just had the thought, you know how my kids now, the ones in middle school, when they do assignments, they always have a rubric that the teacher gives to them with different dimensions that they're going to be graded on, different things. And I feel like I need to sit down with my kids and say, summer's coming. It's another transition we have to plan for. What is it that we want to get out of the summer, and how are we going to do it?
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. And also there's the whole area of routine. If you have a kid who thrives on routine, and then it's like, well, we're going to stop that, and then in 2 months we're going to start it, and you have to go through it all again. And, I always wanted to try to keep my summers routined up. You would as much as you would like to just say, let's just all sleep late and do nothing for 2 months. That's a disaster.
I so agree, because especially for our kids who have autism or who really rely on routine to feel more comfortable in their environment, it can be hard to change up the routine of school to something completely different and then throw them back into school in September. So I try to keep some continuity. And I know it has to be so individualized for each child, but I feel like if you completely forget about school and what you've learned and what the school routine is over the summer, it can make it that much harder in September. So I'm all with you about keeping a routine, and whatever it is that you've committed to do over the summer, whether it's a summer camp or the rec camp or whatever ESY, I'm all about keeping in place the idea that these are the things we've committed to, and because we've committed to them, these are the things we're going to then follow through on, because that really is the idea that I need them to hold on to for September.
Definitely. So now, from a special ed law point of view, award-winning lawyer that you are, what is the deal with ESY, and how do you get that for your kid? Why do kids not get it?
I'm glad that you asked.
Is it already too late to get it?
No, it's not already too late.
We rarely got it, and I never quite understood why. And then one time we did get it, and it was awful. So it's like, well, then again, maybe not.
Well, it's funny. I was just on the phone actually with some wonderful parents who had a question about ESY, and their ESY plans are not yet in place, and there are misconceptions about it. First of all, ESY, it's extended school year, and what it really refers to is when the school is giving program for your child outside of the normal school hours. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the summer; it can be over vacation. But for kids with disabilities, every year the school, as part of the IEP meeting, are supposed to consider whether an extended school program or some sort of summer program is necessary in order for the child to continue to benefit for their education. And a lot of times what the school is looking at is whether the child is going to regress so much in terms of forget so much of what they learned that it's going to take so much time to get back to where they started in September that it's necessary. That really is not the only reason that summer programs are required to be given to children. It really is not. The most important thing I think for parents to know is that it's individualized, just like the IEP.
Right.
It's individualized. So a lot of schools have ESY programs, formal programs. They might be 6-week programs that might be half day, where they review with kids some of the stuff they've done in school just to kind of keep a little bit of that fluency with what they've learned. But that doesn't have to be the only type of program. But when you ask about how do I get that for my kid, or is that appropriate? One of the most important things I think parents can do to be prepared to answer that question with the school as a team, because not all programs are right for every child, is to collect data. So at the end of the school year, I always ask what my child's reading level is. And I ask in September, and I try to see how my child is doing before vacation and after vacation, because you want to see if your child ends the school year at a certain reading level, but come September, they're usually, 3 letters below. That's the type of evidence or information really that you want to share with your IEP team to say, it seems like my child is losing a lot when there's a break. I think it's really important that they have that in place. But number one, bring up the subject, because a lot of times it just doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, especially when there's a lot going on.
Exactly, for everyone.
Yeah, I would also say, based on my experience, be sure to ask what they're offering in terms of ESY, where it's going to be. I know one year it was determined that my daughter was going to regress too much, and so she got it, but it was at a different school in a different town with strange teachers and strange routines. There was no air conditioning in the building. It was a long bus ride. It was really awful. If I had known that's what it was going to be like, I would have said, you know what, send me some books home. I'll do it myself.
Or you might have said it's more important for my child to be in the recreation department program because they need that socialization.
Exactly.
But I do want to accept the related services of occupational therapy, and physical therapy, and speech therapy, because that one-on-one or group instruction is important. So I would say think about what your individual child needs when it comes to the summer. It may be that your child needs to continue to develop the social and emotional piece, that they need continued exposure to peers where they can work on the social skills they've been working on during the school year or that you haven't gotten to. Or it may be that your child needs more academic support. They need that repetition throughout the summer. So think about what type of summer program your child needs, and absolutely ask what the program entails, because it may be that the program is right, that part of it is right, or that you might be asking the school to send your child to a different type of summer program. And extended school year services don't have to be provided in school. They can be provided in boys or girls clubs, in Ys, in other summer programs. So try to bring to the ESY program discussion the same flexibility and problem-solving mindset that I always try to bring to my IEP meeting.
Yeah, that is great to know. I did not realize that. One other thing I would mention is if you're keeping track of your child's therapy during the school year, and if you have found that there is a gap, if somebody went on maternity leave and they didn't replace them, or there was an employment problem and for some days or weeks or even months your child was not getting the therapy that is in the IEP, the summer is a great time to make them replace that.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful opportunity to get in those compensatory hours, those hours that we're missing. Absolutely.
Yes, rather than try to jam them in, okay, we'll give them 5 hours a day for the last month of school.
Absolutely. And when you think about what your child needs, I know very often schools are discussing whether the child will regress, because very often that's a big reason for providing summer services. But it's also the case that when children are in the middle of acquiring a skill, it sometimes can be very important not to disrupt that learning. So another argument that parents can make, if it's appropriate, is my child is almost about on the brink of mastering this, and to stop now would be a problem.
Yes. That is a very good thing.
And another way of looking at it, and something else that courts have spoken to in New Jersey when it comes to extended school year, is there are certain windows of opportunity for learning certain skills. And so if your child is really in kind of a crucial learning window and you're making progress, sometimes an extended school year program can be warranted in order to make sure you're taking advantage of that window of opportunity and acquiring a skill when your child is ready and able to learn it.
That's great. It's great. You know what? I want to talk to you also about inclusion in regular community programs. Why don't we hold that for next month?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's so much to talk about when it comes to that.
There really is. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today, and I will look forward to talking to you about that other topic next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Terri. We'll
be talking with Greer again next month about more summer programs for your child. If you're starting to panic that you haven't got something in place, we got your back.
And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some of the things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Catherine, it looks like you're the only one on our script here with something to share right now.
The rest of us have it all in our heads.
Tell us what you got.
Well, I had a piece on highlights.com, which is from last summer, but I did not know that it was live. I only just found out that it was there. I wrote it, a long time ago, and it's actually been sitting there this whole time without my knowledge. So anyway, it's called 7 Things Every Kid Should Master, and it was based on an interview with this educational researcher named Susan Engel, and it's about things that make school and life meaningful for kids. It's pretty interesting, and she was great to talk to. So check that out on highlights.com.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a post up on the Friendship Circle blog. Speaking of waiting, I put together a card for a game of Therapist's Waiting Room Bingo with many things that one commonly sees in a therapist waiting room. Can you top this? Terrible school stories, or parents just doing the drop and run, or, extremely bored siblings. And you can take this bingo card with you and mark the things off as you spend your half hour there or 45 minutes waiting for your child to come out of therapy. So I'll have the link of that in our show notes.
Awesome. Sounds entertaining. And I am going to mention an article that I did a couple of years ago for the Friendship Circle.
Yay.
And I mention it because somebody actually reposted it the other day and reminded me that I had actually written it. It's much like Catherine, where she had written something and didn't realize it was live.
We've written so much, we forget what we've written.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes.
So this one is for it's an educational article called The 11 Definitions of Inclusion, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And it's actually up on Friendship Circle. So have a look at that if you are contemplating the state of inclusion in your school.
Very good. We'll check that out. And that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts every weekday. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at CHaleco, Nicole is at Nicole Eridix, and Terri is at Mamatude. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter, that's at Roundabout Chat, and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on everything we've mentioned, and talk back to us in the comments. Thanks to John Morin for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.